All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, we were kind of coming to the end of the Jeremy K interview here, but Jeremy, I was wondering if you might want to kind of hang out. I got this organic farmer here and everything. If we'll talk for a little minute here, and maybe get you in as a kind of a three-way conversation. You want to kind of hang out a little bit?
I will, but I'll come right back. I'll come right back.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm going to mute you for a little bit, and then I'll bring you back in a sec. Let's see, Greg. While you're there, we're not seeing you right now, but that's okay if that's okay with me, if it's okay with you. I want to get a little sip of wine here, and we're going to get you going.
I'm trying to get in.
I didn't hear that last one, brother. Oh, the camera. Well, let me just kind of talk about Mr. Gregory Kirkham here. He was recommended to me from someone on our industry cooking classes group page, okay? And he is who we call he is kind of billing himself as the traveling organic farmer, okay? And what he is doing is he is out on a plot of land, the story that you hear so much about, out on a plot of land that's been kind of overgrown and neglected for years. And this man is going in there. He's got 3 acres and he is working on bringing it back. Okay. There he is. I see him now. So he is working with beneficial plants and beneficial insects and other organisms out there to kind of grow, kind of construct this sustainable farm production machine out there. It's very exciting stuff. I'm always interested in these stories. I'm kind of a city boy and wish I knew more about this sort of thing. And so we're about to hear a little bit about it. So first of all, Mr. Gregory Kirkham, the traveling organic farmer out there, can you kind of talk about, you were kind of from the Sacramento area. I know you were kind of working in the restaurant industry for many years in Sacramento, but where are you now and what are you doing?
Well, thank you, Dave. I really want to say I appreciate this opportunity to speak, and I am grateful to be able to speak to your public. I was born and raised in Sacramento, and I did grow up in the food industry. So food has been very important to me throughout my life. What I really wanted to do when I started out farming was to stop big commercial food and stop pesticides, spraying, things like that. That was my end goal. That's what I'm reaching for. That's what I'm striving for daily.
So you're out walking around.
Can you hear me?
Actually, yeah, I sure can. And I just want to ask, you're out walking around farming as we speak, are you not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah,
awesome,
sleep, eat, and farm. That's what I do.
So you mean to tell me the plants just don't grow themselves out there, huh? There's a little bit of work involved?
Yeah, even the cows over there, they don't even grow themselves. Okay. So yeah, unfortunately, I haven't talked the plants into jumping out of their little trays and into the ground themselves, but I'm working on it.
Very, very nice. Right out of the trays and into the ground. So you run a Facebook page called the Traveling. Oh, I just lost him. Back. You run a Facebook page called the Traveling Organic Farmer, and when you look at this page, guys, you got to check it out. You go on there, and he's talking about the little sproutlets in the trays and everything, right? There's tons and tons of this stuff. He is literally starting at ground zero. So you tell us about this patch of land that you wound up on and how that kind of happened.
Well, this is my 3rd season here on this land. How I ended up here this time was actually I received a call. I was working back in the food industry in Sacramento, and I received a call from the landowner and it said help. And I was like, what do you mean help? Apparently the managers that were previously working here had some personal issues and they decided to call it quits. And one of them left the field and the farm and leaving one of them here. So I was called in to help. Of course, the owner called a few other people, checked for my references. Everybody okayed it and said, yeah, Gregory can handle this. So he called me.
You've got a reputation. You've got a little bit of a reputation, if I may say.
Yes. Yeah. 15 years doing this. Yeah. This is my 15th season. So yeah, I'm pretty solid in what I do.
Yeah. Nice. and well known is kind of my point, as people had heard of you and kind of recommended you to go out there.
Yeah, and where I am right now is actually near the coast. The ocean is actually right out there, and then my favorite part is the giant sequoia redwood trees over here. So between the energy of the ocean and the forest, I'm one happy farmer.
You are a happy guy. I have to say, the cows next to you are probably pretty darn happy too. Some of those California cows.
Unless I start singing. Yeah, when I start singing, then they cringe and they look at me funny. But, you know,
Right on,
that's just between you and me, all right?
So when you went in there, the place was kind of overgrown and not really producing much. I mean, what did you have to do to kind of get things rolling?
Well, I walked in here, there was still irrigation tape, and then everything was overgrown, so I had to pull all the irrigation tape. I had to mow everything down, and then we had to get it disked, tilled, all the beds made, re-irrigated, and then replanted. There were some things that I could do direct seeding to, like a lot of arugula, lettuces, things like that, but this was in August. So it was very tough because they wanted me to restart a season and come up with a debt that had been accumulated to cover that debt, as well as be able to pay 2 employees a decent wage in August. And that's kind of when you're harvesting everything. You're not planning to do like a big winter crop.
It's like, where's the growing season?
Yeah, it's behind me. It's over there. You see it?
Yeah,
it's over there.
You got everything. You got everything you need but a growing season.
Right. And no money. So I was like, okay, well, I can do the no money thing. You know, that's easy. It's farming. So as long as I got seed, and there's tons of seed in the barn. I mean, this is a well-established place. It's been running a farm for local Michelin-star restaurants for a big company here in the Bay Area for 18 years. So this place is solid. It has what it needs. There's just a little bit of finance that was needed. So that's kind of how I approached the CSA program and surviving out here when we got shelter in place.
So you're actually living there? Is there a house or?
There's the owner has his own place, and then there's a barn which has multiple rooms, has a huge kitchen, which I love because I love to cook.
Oh, awesome.
And then the whole field. But I actually live in a small little trailer that the owner's given me if I can wheel it out of here. My small car, I'm not sure it's going to make it, but
you ride off in the sunset.
You're right. And I have painted it myself. I'm total artist. I love to paint, sculpt, whittle, all those kind of fun things.
You're a man about town.
As well as, I just like to see beauty, that's why I grow so many flowers.
Well, now you we're talking about flowers when we spoke before. Now, a lot of those flowers are companion plants that are kind of helping your other plants in their production cycle, right?
Some are companion plants. Most attract, I like to attract the beneficial insects as well as the predator insects, because some predator insects will actually come in here and their babies will eat aphids, which I love. I'm standing right here with alyssum, bed of alyssum right here, and these are right next to my greens. So a lot of like lacewings will also come in here as well, as they're attracted to the alyssum, and they'll help protect my other crops. So I'm doing a full bed of this.
What you're saying is you're planting alyssum, and the pests want to eat that more than they want to eat the crops you already have.
Correct. They're definitely more attracted to the white flowers, actually. And then, besides my edible garden, which I can show you too, I also have this beneficial, like I said, sorry if the wind's a little bit much, but I have this beneficial garden that I made. It's dedicated to a lady who helped me discuss business when I first got here, because I had a lot to learn. So I dedicated to her, but right now, as you can see, I've got like a lot of beneficial. I got more alyssum over here. I've got poppies. I've got random produce. I think that some of these are gourds as well as squash. I've got some mustard. I got some sunflowers popping up. Just, all kinds of stuff. I got all kinds of greens over here. I got some dahlias going to be popping up, but this is like the beneficial. This is also a no-till. This is my first no-till. I just dumped a bunch of organic matter on it and then planted the seeds. And then I used all the mulch and stuff to take care of it. Everything's going great. So I'm really proud of that.
Earlier, I want to make
okay.
a little distinction there. Earlier, you were talking about you had to kind of disc up the soil and on the property, but here you got an area where you're doing no-till, and that means we're just bringing in fresh soil and planting right on top of the old soil there. Is that right?
Correct, but unfortunately, the owner's been doing the tilling for 18 years. He's been encouraging it, and he's also been encouraging me. So he's actually allowing me to kind of experiment. He calls it an experiment of the no-till way of farming. He has full faith in me, so I totally adore him for that. But it is an experiment. So I'm utilizing a lot of that kind of thing, even here with my butterleaf lettuce and then my Walla Walla onions. I have a lot of beneficial plants going on. See some of my bigger ones. But the weeds, I'm just dropping on top of it because you can see the soil is super clay. So like literally, this is some of the hardest soil you've ever seen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's no way I can grow in there. So what I have to dump stuff on. But the problem is I don't have any money because, there's no financing. The restaurants aren't backing it. So I go over there to the forest where they taught me that if you just leave everything and dump everything, that's natural and that's beautiful. So I go over there and take that dark, rich black soil, haul it over here, and then drop it.
And you're doing everything
along with the
everything
weeds
yourself. Or no, you have one other person.
I've got to help. The owner of the land, but he's extraordinarily busy doing his own thing.
Gotcha.
So I'm the only labor here. I do all the I do the planting, the harvesting, irrigating, packing, shipping, or delivering to the CSA members. He does sometimes if they're in the Bay Area, but everything's on me pretty much for the field.
And construction as well. You were telling me you were building a kind of a makeshift greenhouse out there, kind of playing with that. Did that ever work out for you?
It ended up looking really beautiful until 20-mile-an-hour winds for 3 days came at me. This is what's left of it. This is what's left of it right here. So I'm working on it. The main greenhouse over there is solid. It's doing okay, but this one is, I'm going to work on it. Kind of, I have this thing where I like to think like a captain of a ship. When the winds are coming, you can utilize the sails a little bit, but the winds and the storm starts coming, you want to take down the sails. That's the concept. I'm going to work with this. I'm going to start to make it removable. I'm going to redo it. I'm not giving up because
maybe mini blinds
I've got my little,
you can raise and lower.
Exactly. So coming in here, I've got, all my little tomatoes planted in here.
Very nice.
I've got to trellis them. They're all the way down there. And then I'm going to companion plant the basil in here as well. And then over here, I've also got cucumbers at this far row down here. And then I've already planted dill, but I've also got bindweed, which is really annoying. So I'm going to mulch as soon as the dill starts coming up. I'll find those. I got another row for cucumbers. And then I got peas and stuff popping up over here, little babies popping up. I'm really proud of. So
peas are another beneficial plant, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, their flowers are not only beautiful but also attractive as well. And I like stinky because apparently the flea beetles for being so small, they actually have a really big nose because they don't like the stinky stuff. So every time I plant stinky stuff, it chases them away. And then I've also got a trap crop over here of chard that I've been trimming down because it's been way overgrown and going to seed. But that's a trap crop that attracts the cucumber beetles and keeps them away from everything else.
It's fascinating. You are using all of these plants for specific pests and keeping them away from your crops. These are the types of things I think that a lot of us city folk just don't hear about very often, right? And so I really appreciate, you walking us around here. I kind of wanted to, we were talking a little bit the other day about like the microbes in the soil and soil health and all of that. I mean, can you kind of speak to the importance of microbes in the soil and what you're kind of really trying to bring back there on your property?
Well, that's been a struggle because the typical disking, tilling, working the tractor, getting the soil like all made up, because The tricky part about this soil, because it is so clay, but once you add a little bit of water to it, it literally just like turns into beautiful, rich dirt.
It just falls
soil.
apart.
Yeah, it's absolutely really wonderful. But you have to add water to it. And then, so what I kept telling Dale was, instead of making these 4-foot beds, which can be like really hard because there's so much surface space, and that allows a lot more weeds to grow on those surfaces. What I've done is I took the tractor part and then I cut the bed in half and like this. So I don't know if you can see. So I've got 2 different beds. Instead of one whole bed here, it's just 2 beds. So I can only have to mulch a little bit. And then when I see a weed in the mulch, it comes out super easy. The no-till theory is working for me really well because I can also just stack it on top. And then if I till this, it does get like at least make the beds. It does give me enough, I want to say maybe carve a structure to put the compost on. And now that I finally made enough money through the CSA, we are able to get some compost. So that's on a truck and on the way soon. But,
okay, cool. So you're finally getting some, basically reinforcing the nutrients that you already have in the soil. And that's kind of, you originally, when we first started talking, I see Mr. Jeremy is coming in and out here, and I don't mind getting him in on this conversation as well. Is, one of the things that I constantly rail about with my students is the agricultural industrial complex, the big ag that's out there using pesticides and chemical fertilizers. Jeremy, if you're there, man, you can jump in on this too, right? But pesticides, all of that stuff. I kind of mentioned that microbiome in the soil, right? All of these micronutrients or bacteria that are in there that help to grow the food that actually become the food. They are the food that our food eats to become food, right? And I see the effects of like big ag kind of killing off that microbiome with whether pesticides, whether it's fertilizers, whether it's things like antibiotics. What kinds of thoughts do you have on that, Mr. Gregory?
Well, if you're looking now, you can see this is the no-till bed. And after dumping a bunch of organic matter on top of it, it is just beautiful, black, rich soil. Those are the nutrients is making these plants. Yeah, this is everything that I've wanted, and you can obviously tell there's pine needles in here. This is from the forest.
Because you've been bringing it from the
everywhere. Right, but I've got a little a little radish in here. I've got more baby alyssum growing, and everything just loves it, mainly because their root structure can just grow through this so easily. And then all the microbes are all happy in here because it's loose and free. It's not clay. It's not dried out. It's not dead. And that is what I'm going for, is trying to sustain life. To always sustain life. Don't kill it. Don't harm it. Don't spray it with pesticides. Don't do monoculture. Do rotating of crops. Do companion planting. Grow more flowers. I'm not a hippie, but flower power all the way.
Jeremy, you have any thoughts on big ag and their practices?
Well, I don't know about
Let's
big
tear
ag.
into them, guys.
I don't know about big ag, but I was just going to say, I wish I could remember this person's name, but I saw not too long ago in Sacramento that somebody was created a micro business around going into people's homes and setting up beds for them, so that people can start growing their own stuff, right? I mean, people setting up, again, you work with that person to figure out what it is that you want to be planting in your garden, and then they come in and they build it for you. And I think that that's such a great, it's a great service to provide for people, because I mean, I just went away for a couple days to nap, and I was staying on a golf course, and the amount of water that's being directed towards these golf courses and other things that just take up all of that,
It's terrible. No.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I just wish that people spent less time on their green grass gardens and just grow what you want to grow. I mean,
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. What are lawns getting for us here? What are they doing for us, guys?
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, you know, as somebody that has a young child, it's nice to have a lawn, you know, some amount of grass for my daughter to run around on. But, you know, I'm also trying to grow a few things back there to take advantage of the property that we have. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of space to grow enough to feed your family, or you know, to mix in with what you're buying from the store. I should say, you know, maybe you're not going to be 100% self-sufficient, but enough.
So here's an uncomfortable question though: is if everybody started their own garden, is there enough? You know, what about water? Is there enough fertilizer and water and nutrients to go around for everyone's garden? Would that be an efficient way of producing food? Uncomfortable question.
I think the answer is got to be yes.
Actually, it would be no. It's
yes.
not. It's not. If a community works together, one family grows tomatoes and basil, another one grows cucumbers and dill, another one grows leafy greens, another one grows solid Asian greens, and everybody works together. And then as far as water concerns, that was like the number one concern with a lot of people that have been asking me lately from town, is what would you do? Because you know this heat. And I said, well, yeah, you know, me and a girlfriend had patio umbrellas all over the garden one time because we were trying to save the plants. And I was like, no, mulch, just mulch. The water is a huge issue, but just mulch, it's fine. It'll be okay. The plants will eventually wilt, and they'll look like, holy crap, they'll look like you and me when we're out in the heat for a long time. Like, oh my goodness.
But if people are already using that, you know, a lot of water to grow lawns, and we're talking about not necessarily growing, you know, I mean, I've got a pretty good sized yard. I mean, I'm not talking about putting a bed on every square inch, but they're already using that water to feed their lawns. It's just, in my mind, there's enough water to feed the beds that they want, that you're going to want to put into your yard.
Section off that lawn, put a garden in there, and you just did a water offset for that lawn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the same amount of water that you're going to be putting into the lawn is now going to go in. I mean, I'm not, you know, definitely not a farmer. I don't know a lot about this growing process, but I mean, the sun.
What's Greg's point of something?
There's also, you know, rain. Rain is a great thing. I know in some states it's illegal. It's also illegal to collect rainwater, but that is ridiculous law, and it needs to be destroyed.
Oh yeah.
People need to start saving their water.
Do people out there know this? Does everybody know that it is illegal to collect rainwater? Isn't that insane? Yeah. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah. I mean, just
that's just insane.
Hey, by the way, I just want to throw out, somebody threw this out there. That garden beds guy is named Satori DeWitt.
Yeah.
Satori DeWitt.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool idea. I mean, you know, COVID is just spurring this entirely new economy of things that people just don't understand. I imagine, you know, this sort of thing was in existence before, though, because a person like me, I'm a lazy man. Okay. I don't like sweating in the sun. I burn to a crisp in seconds out there. And gosh, I could see having a guy put a bed out there for me, you know, or maybe in a few years when I'm getting retired. But not a bad idea. Interesting.
And one thing I do want to say when you were kind of bringing up the complex is, if people would buy from farmers or grow their own food, instead of believing that all food comes from grocery stores, that would hugely help farmers, because throughout history, farmers make very little. We always get trapped with middlemen, and we lose our funds. We struggle a lot. I don't want to tell you how much I'm making, but I'm not making an hourly wage. I'm basically selling produce to get paid and support the farm, as well as the bills here on the farm. So everything is being supported through what I'm doing. So it's vitally important.
Direct to farm purchasing.
Yes, exactly. And I want to encourage that with everybody, is, you know, getting fresh produce, real food from a farmer is vitally important. Oh my goodness, I have the tiniest little, frog here. Oops, I just took a jump. Never mind. Yeah, but just support the farmers. Go to farmers markets. Do that kind of thing. Talk to your farmers. Ask them, you know, what do you have? What do you have planting? When's a good time to sign up? Can I get a share of your CSA program? What can I do to help support you? And building communities like that, I think, is hugely and vastly important. And a lot of people see this COVID thing as a bad thing, but I'm actually looking at it as a blessing, because I think people are finally understanding how important it is for these essential workers that are still functioning, like chefs, restaurant folks, nurses, doctors, all of these
garbage
farmers,
men, for heaven's sake, and
garbage
grocery
men.
store,
Right.
They are essential workers, man.
Well, the grocery stores would probably not do if the farmers, us, me. This is where I'm trying to go. If people came to us.
Of course. A buddy of mine was saying just a few weeks ago, Eric Vildman Miller, okay, he was saying, using the term shorten the chain, meaning shorten your food chain, get rid of as many links in between the consumer and the producer as possible, right? So that's exactly what you're talking about. I love the way he put that, though. Shorten the chain.
Yes. I'm going to use that.
I kind of wonder if, like, the idea of farmers markets, I mean, to shorten the chain, I wish that I could just go to a farm. I mean, maybe that seems
I would love to have people.
Yeah.
I would love to have people here. I would love to have people here where I could have them in the field and cook them a meal, prepare a nice dish and say, okay, this is everything that's on the farm is in this dish. Mm-hmm. Here's 5 dishes and here's everything that I have. Even as a chef, I would love to have a bunch of chefs out here and show them and be like, hey, this is what I've got. This is how I use it. But I'm sure your brain is like moving a million miles a minute thinking, oh my goodness, okay, I can use that. I have marjoram, I have rhubarb, I have tomatoes, I have cucumbers, I have sorrel. A lot of my customers are like, what is sorrel and how do I eat it? And I'm like, oh, good grief.
This is where we need to come together right here. Have these conversations.
Right.
But so there's laws about that, people. Right? I mean, that's why we can't just go to your farm. I don't think.
Well, right now, no, a lot of people are super sketchy, including the owner. He's at risk and in the at-risk department, so he doesn't want any visitors here at all. But we have tried and tested a few. So far, so good. But he realizes, that I'm hugely important, so he doesn't want me getting sick. And then, of course, he's hugely important, and he doesn't want to get sick. So between the two of us, we're just kind of stashed out here, doing the best we can to survive and then help people in our community.
But I mean, outside of the COVID situation, there are laws that regulate, like, you can't. Could I just come out and buy directly from you? Could you host people and cook a meal for them on your property? Are you allowed?
I don't see why not. I mean, if you're cooking meals for people, right, in their homes. I mean, I used to be a live-in vegan chef for 2 different families. So, I mean, I would go out and get produce or whatever from farmers markets, bring it home, and then prepare it for them. And then I believe that law, if I'm correct.
I just assume if you're worried about following the laws, then the local health authorities are going to have their protocols of whether you can do this or not, and most of them do not exactly encourage you to buy from a non-approved supplier, right? That's kind of what you're referencing, I think, Jeremy. And,
I mean, I just know that if you're going to a farmer's market as a farmer, don't you have to, there's paperwork associated with it and all of that. So, I mean, I would assume that the same thing,
hoops to sell retail.
Yeah. So I would assume the same thing would be true of somebody coming to the actual farm to buy.
I think it would be less so for, someone who's just buying for themselves. It could be that personal relationship with a farmer, and whether there's money exchanging hands or not, that could be kind of between them. But if you're going out and for yourself, buying produce from Greg here and then taking it to your and selling it for the wandering chef, that might be a little iffy just because of that rule that you're kind of referencing. I think. Interesting stuff.
And that rule needs to be changed then, right? You need to start changing some laws. We can do that. This is America, right?
Well, this is why there's a couple of sides to everything in America, right? But that's why I wanted to bring on Jeremy, because you're kind of doing this little under the tablecloth kind of a thing.
Under the radar.
You're kind of walking the tightrope there, and that's kind of what we're talking about with picking up food at the farm there, is walking the tightrope as well, it sounds like. Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I love what you're doing, Jeremy, because that's awesome. It takes a lot of middlemen out, and you're shortening the chain there. So that's even more awesome. And then you're giving people a special treat because you're giving them special food. So I would be like, hell yeah, you can come out and cook something. I'm tired of cooking, man. I'm cooking by myself all the time. And just to have the company would be nice. Like, come hang out with me.
You need to get you need to get a banjo out there, Gregory, or something. That'll.
All I got is a hand drum and my voice, man.
Well, gentlemen, have you had enough of Between the Two Stoves?
Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you having us.
I don't. I haven't, but I'm good. Whatever.
You want to hang out all day?
I need the company, man.
I love the view out there. It is very, very awesome. As soon as things are normal, we'll all have to get together, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jeremy K, the mystery man over there at The Wandering Chef. Check him out on social media. Look that up on Facebook, The Wandering Chef. He's out there doing some pretty cool looking food, I have to say.
Thank you.
I see your pictures out there. You do very nice food photography as well.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You've got Gregory Kirkham out there, and he is starting up a sustainable farm out there at Smip Ranch, basically, if I could say the name. Maybe I shouldn't have thrown that on there.
Yep, you're good. You're good.
Right? Yeah, but he's living the dream out there, guys. He's out there singing at cows, and he's doing the organic thing, and he's creating a sustainable food system for people to enjoy, guys. It's part of the dream, and I'm loving what he's doing out there. And he is the traveling organic farmer. I got to keep the wandering and traveling straight here. Okay. Thanks so much, Gregory, man.
Yeah, you can.
Bless you, brother, for what you're doing. I love that conversation about beneficial organisms. I love it, man. For the rest of you guys, thanks for showing up on Between the Two Stoves. I'm a guy, just kind of bringing out food people, and look at this dude chomping on his produce. I'm just a guy bringing people together for conversations during COVID, right? I do cooking classes on the side on Monday nights, my quarantine kitchen happy hour. He's eating flowers now, edible flowers. I'm getting hungry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm feeling good. I hope you are too. And please give me a shout another time. Thanks so much for showing up, and don't forget the party is always in the kitchen. That was a blast, man. Thanks a lot, and take care out there, buddy. See ya.
Thanks, Dave. You too.
Awesome. Whoa.